Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Council. It's your girl, Cosette.
Lexi.
And Rachel.
And today we are talking about moving in with your partner. When do you know it's the right time? Is it ever the right time?
Oh, is it ever?
I think we all have different experiences on this. So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about moving in together, common questions that you may face with your partner, or challenges that you might deal with when you move in and you're co-inhabiting a space with someone, and how to determine when the time is right, if it ever is, with that person. So let's kick it off with a little question. Have you ever moved in with your partner? Well, we all have,
Wait,
first
let's
of
raise
all.
our gavels. Yep.
Gavel.
Who here has moved in with an ex? Well, or
Wait,
a
an
current,
ex?
or a current partner.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Have you ever moved in with
With
a
a
partner?
significant
Yeah.
other.
Yes,
And-
better.
Okay, so let's all do a little round table, or more so semicircle discussion
Of the time frame?
on the time frame when you moved in with your ex and why you felt like it was the right time for
Me?
such
Okay.
such
Do
a
you want to kick it off, Rachel?
step.
I guess the soonest was a month, and that was very fast.
Hey, you can't look at. I also like. I'm
every
in the same
every,
boat.
Yeah.
every relationship is different, and my soonest was a month, and I felt like we both wanted something serious with each other, and our cards just aligned that way, and we were like, yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And did it work? Like, do you
Until
feel
it
like?
didn't.
No, I know, but like, did you feel like moving in together? So I think, well, how am I trying to say this? I feel with my current partner, we moved in same time frame too, pretty much right away at a month or two after we met, we moved in. And I think from all the complications that we work through, moving in and living together is probably the least amount of difficulty because we live together well. We operate the same in the house. We cook the same. We go in the kitchen. Like that is all great. We have other things that we have to work through. So sometimes when you live together, you realize, oh my gosh, this person's extremely messy, or they don't pick, like, there's moving in factors that are hard to
Yeah.
adjust to. But other times you're like, oh, living together is relatively easy. It's outside of that that's difficult. So I was wondering, you were this was a long-term relationship. So
Mhm.
was it a compilation of all of it, or do you feel like with living together it was relatively
I feel like
easy?
living together, yeah, it was relatively easy, and like I feel like we matched each other on like the cleanliness and everything. I would say towards the end of relationship, it was just like a conflict of timelines and agendas ended up getting unsynced, so that made it difficult. But in the moment when we did decide, it was easy to move in, and it was a good flow.
Yeah.
Because it can really make or break a relationship how you live together. And I've definitely seen dynamics where the cleanliness is completely different. It's a roommate. Like, imagine,
it is.
and we've all had bad roommate situations.
Yes.
You could have
Another episode perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
you could have different sleep schedules. One person can be
Exactly.
super clean, and then the other
Exactly.
person's a little bit more, messy. And
You really
so-
figure out who the person is when you're living with them, and
It's
it
a big
could
way
be
to
a
learn.
deal breaker.
Yeah, it's a big way to learn. And even before you move in, just seeing how they inhabit their space and how they keep how clean they keep their space. I'm sure before you even move in with them, you're spending nights at their place, and
Mhm.
that can give you a little sneak peek. But it's not until you move in with them that you fully see
Everything.
what they're like all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the fastest you've ever moved in with someone?
Pretty similar where I think what was it, like just maybe a month and a half to 2 months, and then I was already spending
Quite
every
some
every
time.
night there, especially it made it easy going to Cosette's house and then right over, so I saw my favorite people right away. I'm like boop boop. But
He was
then,
very close
yeah,
by.
it was very close by, and we kind of moved into his place, and then we looked for a place on our own. And this living experience compared to my last living experience is so different because of that partner. And I was just telling you guys off screen that I turned to him last night in bed and I said, isn't it crazy that for pretty much the duration of our relationship, we've lived together? And he doesn't have these, he at least doesn't voice this, these haha moments.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, very, very crazy.
Yeah,
And I'm
very
like,
crazy.
do you like living with me? And of course, I went down a rabbit hole of
Yeah.
like, do you like
Do you
this?
want
Do you
to
want to? Do you
living
like?
with me?
He's like, yes, it's very nice. It's very good. But yeah, it the I didn't feel like it was too soon. And even when I talked to my parents, who are pretty relaxed on this, they were like, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
if you feel it's right, go for it. That's cool. So, do your thing. So
I think there's also a huge difference between if you're moving in with them, if they're moving in with you, or if you're finding a space. So I love that you two in that situation moved to find a place that you could move into. It
Yeah.
could be a fresh start for both of you. Because I do think that when you move in with someone and you are already stepping into their space, all of their furniture, it feels like on their terms and it's on their turf.
That
it could
is
be
so true.
it could be a
Yeah.
very different experience.
that's
It's like a power dynamic. Like
it is. You don't
can
know if
happen.
like, especially if you're with the wrong person, touching their things or reorganizing, you really don't feel like you have that capability to make a space your own or like
Yeah.
yours together. And that's the situation with my ex. I moved in with him maybe we had a very up and down relationship, but maybe a year into our second half of our relationship,
Mhm.
he asked me to move in with him, and I said yes in that moment because, as we all learn, I said yes to almost like save or think that would be the next step that would help us, instead of the whole time I had anxiety of like, oh my God, I do not want to let go of my place. I love my place. I love my roommates. I always feel calm and safe when I
Mhm.
come back from his place. All bad signs. Do not move in with someone if that's how you're feeling.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, he's asking me. This is a step that is showing he's ready to do this with me. And when I moved in,
that was probably, him showing control.
yeah, it really was, because I remember I changed I changed a shower curtain in that place, and he got so upset
No.
that he's like, why would you waste money on this? This is ridiculous. I liked the other like made such a fuss over it. And I'm like, can I change any colors? And no, I mean, the place
it
was
was
his.
his
It was
space.
his place. It
Yeah.
was his space. Um and the furniture, what he wanted, like it just
And then you're like, okay, so
Yeah.
what can I change? Can I
So,
get,
like,
colorful cups?
this
Can
doesn't
I
feel,
not?
oh, I can buy a new bed and a new TV for, okay, well, that's great. Like,
Yeah.
it's
You can't
just,
customize
no.
it.
And
It's
so
his space.
it's so much fun doing that with
A
my
shared
place
space.
now. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
and even now I feel like I have the luxury to be like, you need to compromise more with me. If I want counter chairs here, I get counter chairs here, and I get
Yeah.
to speak up a little more and realize like, okay, I can compromise too with him. And we did. We just got a new couch, and
Yeah, that's
yes,
what you're
and
saying.
he won out in where the location of the couch is, because it does fit better where he said it would be. And where you're like, fine, it works.
Yeah.
You won this one, but next one I'm getting wherever it is going to be. So it's really fun when you have a partner that makes it a journey to live together, rather than like, it's not my space, I'm just like
Yeah.
cohabitating with you
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that that's the key in a successful co-living situation with a partner, is making sure that the space feels like both of yours. Like I moved in with an ex like a year into our relationship, maybe a little bit more,
And you had different circumstances too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm very much so, every relationship is different. I think that I moved in with a partner because it made most sense for the situation. It was the pandemic. I was School was online anyway, and it made sense. And I don't have
Yeah.
any regrets. I'm glad that I did it. But something that I think worked really well with us was that I was moving into his house, but he was very much like, I want you to feel like this is your place too. And so I remember it started by like he gave me little sections that I could decorate fully on my own, and
Aw.
then it became a little bit more like, okay, I think it'd be really cool if there was a rug in the living room. Let's find one that works for both of us. And there were definitely moments where we would butt heads a little bit in terms of making it feel like I was also living there, but not too girly,
Mhm.
and
The
feeling,
stylistic choices.
yeah,
Yeah.
as it always will be. But I feel like when you are moving into someone else's space, it's really important to feel like you also exist in the space, in terms of the decorations, in terms of the furniture and little moments. And so I feel like that is really key to having a successful situation. But there are a lot of pros and unexpected benefits to living together, such as building a stronger connection with your partner and also the financial liberty that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked a lot about how if you do have very misaligned schedules with your partner, that can be another way to just spend more time together in the time that, it's not necessarily spending that intentional time with them, but now you're able to take advantage of time more.
Right.
But
Be in the same space
yeah,
together.
exactly.
And even sometimes just being in the same space or falling asleep with them is really wonderful.
That
Like when I go
helps.
home and I'm not with my partner, I don't sleep as well. And it's and then when you get home, you're like, "Oh, all I wanted to do was sleep in the same bed with you. Like all I want to do is to feel like
Cuddle next
connected
to
that
you.
yeah, and I think it's not that it should happen all the time, but when you guys have those really busy weeks or times of your life and then it slows down and you get to share your home together, like
You can
what
come
should we
back
make to
home
dinner, what should we do that,
Mhm.
like those are moments that I really do look forward. And it, on the flip side, and I know we're going to talk more about like potential cons, it's easy to fall into like a pitfall of roommates, or
Yeah, a
we
routine.
don't really need a date anymore because we're just at the house, or we
Mhm.
don't need to go out and do something because we live together and I
Yeah.
see you every day.
Oh, sitting
Eh,
watching a TV show
Yes.
is like us hanging out. Oh,
Misinterpreting,
no.
like you just highlighted, Cosette, misinterpreting time as all time together is quality time, when
Yeah.
really no, we have to be intentional about this time that we're setting together.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't mean it doesn't have to be like outside the home. I tell Mr. Wright all the time, like, I could come home, we have a plan on a movie we're gonna rent, we have a plan on the dinner we're gonna have. I have fake candles, and I'm like, you can put the fake candles out, and right there is a home date that already feels intentional and
Yeah.
like quality time.
Yep.
Or we could have an intention to walk the dogs out and take them to a new park, and then get we love these boba drinks in our area, and
Love boba.
right, and like that to me also is a way to spend time with each other. We don't have to do extravagant things together, but
Yeah.
having that quality time and making sure that's not lost, because it's something to work through, and it's something that we've had to work through, and understanding that no, we're not just now in this nice routine of every day is the same as the one before. It takes work to
Yeah.
continue to date each other. I think that's a con of moving in together maybe too soon, and you don't have time to establish that, like, hey, every Friday's date night or every Saturday, even if we live together or not. And maybe moving in together too soon, we weren't able to establish that first, and now we're kind of retro doing that, and they're like, hey, every 2 weeks we're doing this as a personal weekend together.
Yeah.
And making sure we do that.
You never want your partner to feel like a roommate.
Mhm.
And that's what happens when you get complacent and, just like putting in that little extra effort and thought to show, even if it is the exact same, like what you were saying, oh, we're watching a TV show. But there was thought and intention to cook dinner and
We
maybe
picked the
cook
one because how
popcorn,
much time is
pick the
wasted.
show.
What should we watch tonight?
Mhm.
And
Way
that
too much time.
that takes out the romantic side. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Just
pick what you
just just a little bit more effort to put in a little bit more effort, and it'll make the whole difference. It'll make us feel special.
yeah.
And it makes a difference.
What you were saying reminds me of this rule that I learned on TikTok, as I learn everything. But I've been sitting here trying to remember what exactly the number was, but it was something along the lines of like there should be a date night once a week, a
I
weekend
feel like
away.
Oh,
so it was
yes.
this is what I tried to implement. It was like every 2 weeks a date night, every 2 months a trip away, and every 2 years like you do
Like an international.
yeah.
Like,
So like a
that's what
weekend
it
trip is every
was.
2 months, a date night every 2 weeks, and then an international trip every 2 years. Like
yeah.
not that
That's-
you
I think
can't
that's
switch
what it
that up.
was.
No, that's the one I read, and that's what I'm like, hello, we need to do this. Like I think
Hello.
what my partner thinks now is he thinks we're not in any kind of trouble, and we're not. But my crazy brain is like, 4 years down the line, we could lose connection, and so right now we need to make sure that we establish these rules
Yeah.
and these things. And so I'm trying to I'm over here trying to be spicy.
Trying
I'm
to
over
keep it
here trying to
fresh
be
and
like,
hip.
you're gonna be surprised by me all the time, and
Mhm.
you're never gonna have a moment to sleep, and we're doing this and that. And he's like, oh, we're so comfortable. I'm like, we're never comfortable.
Well, so that is one of those conceived cons of living together, is, as we've talked about, getting the comfortability and losing the
Yeah.
spark because you start to become kind of like roommates, which is
Yeah.
definitely the downfall of one of my past relationships. But there are some other potential downsides between, uh, cohabitation, if that's a
Sounded
word.
so,
Yes.
yeah.
And that is loss of personal space,
That is
Oh.
true.
conflict over living habits, and feeling pressure in terms of like maybe did I move in too soon, or are my friends living with their partners. But I think the loss of personal space is really huge. I know I'm someone who needs some personal space, like needs their separation, whether that's us doing different activities or like me having one thing like going on a walk or a hike that's for myself. I know you walk your dogs constantly, but I think especially when you are
Love
living,
personal space.
yeah, it could be, you could really quickly feel suffocated and feel like you're constantly on top of each other. If they work a regular job, I think that could help
It
just
does.
create
It
a little bit of
does.
separation. But what are some other ways in which we can kind of, I guess, champion some personal
Oh, I
space
like the word choice.
while we are living with a partner?
Maybe maybe, you know, not having your schedule just be you and him, and making sure you do put time aside to you and your other friends. Like, how I see it is, from like experience, is the most successful relationships is like, it's not me and you, it's okay, I have my agenda, you have your agenda, and then we have our agenda.
Mhm.
So making sure you set aside time to do what you want and not losing what you love, you know?
Yeah, that's a great one. I love that.
Because, what I've thought about over the years that I've been in relationships and on this planet is that I don't know where I was going with that sentence, but you have so much more to talk about and contribute to your relationship and in conversation when you both have been doing your own things. Like, if you're only with your partner and you're living with your partner and you eat only with your, like, you're like, what'd you do today?
What else do I
like,
talk
how do
about?
I, how was work? But when you're like, oh my goodness, this is what we talked about on our podcast today, or oh my gosh, I went to dinner, the food was delicious. It was so great catching up with my friend. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just also, you have, and we've talked about this, after we see each other, we're like rejuvenated. We're like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. I feel so strong. I feel so powerful, and I'm amazing. And then you get to come home and you're like, hey,
Yeah.
you have this amazing girlfriend on your hands. Let's like, it's a wonderful feeling when
Mm-hmm.
you just spend time outside with your partner, and then you get to appreciate them in a different way. You're like,
Yeah.
I miss you so much. Oh my gosh, like, get over here. And
Mhm. Get over here.
Get over here.
that's always what I'm looking for. I'm like, get over here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I think that's a great point, is just making sure that you're incorporating things outside of your relationship, especially when you're living together, making sure that you're both stepping outside your home. Because also, truthfully, when you do live with someone, having the place to yourself for a moment is also
Peace.
amazing. It's just peace. And
Mhm.
so if they're stepping out for a dinner or work event or whatever they're doing, and you're like, okay, have fun. Like, there's SNL skits where the women are like doing a face mask, putting on a crime
Yeah.
documentary, eating their like favorite foods, and they're like, thank gosh he is gone. We now have like, there's
Mhm.
just this, not that you don't love your partner, but you're just like, yes, I get to be like a little gremlin.
You
for
don't have
moment.
a care
Yeah.
in the world.
You're like, oh,
yeah.
this is just me
Uh-huh.
time. I like,
You get to relax and do whatever you want.
yes. It's so, I think personal space is accomplished by having your own agendas.
Mhm.
Definitely.
That just reminded me of the whole secret single behaviors episode that we
Yeah.
did. How you were like,
We did.
when I'm by myself, I like to curl up in bed. And
Well, because like,
I was like,
watch
that's not what I was thinking secret
oh
single
yeah,
behavior
no,
was.
but that's the. Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry for lunch. What is funny is what I look forward to most when Mr. Wright steps out of the house for a night or something. He's like, I have dinner plans. I'm like, oh, amazing. I'm ordering pizza
Uh-huh.
because it's the food he doesn't crave the most, and it's the food I crave the most. So it's the
So
first
you
thing
get
I
lack
go.
of
Yeah.
pizza.
So I'm like, okay, go have dinner. Like, tomorrow he has a dinner, and I'm like, pizza. I'm already searching which new pizza place I want to go to. It's like a little date for yourself. And
Yeah.
I think
Amazing.
that's always fun.
Are you
Those
gonna
are
watch
really
a movie
important.
too?
oh yeah, oh
Heck
yeah.
yeah. Do you know what movie?
Well, it has to be a scary movie because it's,
Halloween.
Love
or-
it.
Halloween.
Well,
Love
it's
it.
not gonna be Halloween when this
I know.
episode
That's
comes
why I
out.
was like, I stopped.
She loves scary movies.
I just love scary movies, and
The fun thing is
you
you
know,
never know when we
we
recorded
never
this
know when we're
episode.
gonna drop this, but it's the end of the year. It's always scary movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
So
So let's talk a little bit about when you feel like you're ready to move in with a partner. Like what is the feeling?
what is the feeling you're looking for?
Like,
that tells you.
Yeah, what
This
is
is
it
right.
inside, that voice inside that you're like, okay, because I remember, I feel like yours was the most recent of moving in with a partner, where I told this story on the podcast before, but I saw you show up at my house with a box full of pots and pans, and I was like, what are you doing with that? And a lot of times it could be that like honeymoon high, and how do you decipher between having that like kind of not love bombing, but like the high of when you first
Oh,
start
yeah,
getting
like
to know someone? Because in your case it worked out, you know.
But
So how
it's
do you
so funny
decipher
because
that?
I have to tell at first when I met Mr. Right and everything, Cosette was telling me, she's like, as long as you're not moving in with him or
I
something.
know.
Like,
I remember.
it
you
was
said
so
that.
funny. And then I feel like it was very soon after where I was like,
She's like, guys.
okay, so don't say anything, but I'm moving in. And because that's why it's like, so how do you know it's like, how do you know? Like, I'm a little
How did
panicked
you
for you,
know?
but I think what helped is we had so many relationship questions answered, and we had those conversations. We talked
Communication.
we talked about our financials. We talked about religion. We talked about how we'd want to raise a family if we'd want a family. We
Similar
talked
values.
about 5-year plan. We talked about what is the point of dating in this relationship. So although it was fast in our ultimate, like how long we've known each other, our intention of dating each other was established, how we felt about each other, the conversation. So I think it's really about how you feel like you are on the same page with someone. So if you feel like you're taking your time having those types of conversations and getting to know someone in that, then I think it's so important to make sure you know those things about someone, their political views, all these moral and living like everything. And that could take 3 years, 4 years. It could take a long time. It could take 2 months, as long as you have those answers that make you feel like, oh, if I like, oh, he thinks women who dress like that is wrong. Well, if I live with this guy, he's going to not like anything I wear. That's, first of all, no, that should be a red flag. But
I like how you're holding this like you're about to beat someone up. Like, no.
this is my middle. No. That's how I felt in my last relationship, and that's why I was in anxiety, because I'm like, he's not gonna like anything I wear, and that's a freedom that I'm gonna have to, relinquish. And feeling like you can be your absolute self, feeling like you've already had nights where you have your pimple patches on or your face mask, and you had to do your makeup routine there, and you had to do your hair, or you had to have that morning fiasco of like, what do I wear? Oh my gosh, we need to go here. Like, seeing those meltdowns and seeing how you operate together in a fight, I think those are all pivotal points to have. How you fight together, how you
fight together.
what's your worst look like. Like, if you feel like you've done that and your partner's received you, then I think that's why I was so comfortable, because I'm like, oh, there's no secrets. If I move in with him, there's no secrets. He knows how I operate. He knows my insecurities. He knows that I'll wake up with bad breath. Like, I wear a so that's what made me comfortable in moving in with him, because I was like, there's nothing that I'm going to be shy about. I think I've talked about this before. I'm never on the podcast, but my ex, like, just doesn't think women poop. And so that is the craziest thing. And yet it was one of my biggest fears about living with someone with one bathroom, is the fact that I'm going to have to use the bathroom. And if he ever had any kind of sense that I was using the number 2 bathroom, he would just like, he told me he would not be attracted to me.
That's
He-
a horrifying fear to have in your own home.
Horrible. And so when I was able,
Oh, I remember.
yes, I'm going to tell this story here, but like, my boyfriend took me very soon in our relationship to Hawaii. And at that point, like, I'd never pooped in front of him, door closed or not. Like, I'd never pooped in the same room. I'd always wait to go home. And we were now on this trip together, and I would constantly think, like, how am I going to do this? And it was, I think, maybe a day and a half into our trip when he looks at me, he's like, have you pooped yet? And I was like, oh my God, you did not just ask me that. He's like, I don't think you have. And I was like, no, but I just don't need to. Like, I'm okay. He's like, no, 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 you need to poop. And like, I told him how much of it, like, how much anxiety that gave me because of that past experience. And he's like, it's okay. You can go into the bathroom. I'm going to sit here right on the bed. I'm going to wait for you to be done. I'm going to like check up on you. And like,
I would have preferred if he said, I'll go take a walk.
I
You
know,
know,
I know.
yourself.
And I was
Take a
like,
walk.
no, please. Like, he's like, no, no, it's okay.
That was
It's
sweet
okay.
of him, though.
It was super sweet. And I turned my music on as loud as it would be.
Good,
I turned the
good.
faucet on. I was like, oh my God, you can't hear anything.
Traumatized girly.
And like, so we had that experience before moving in. And
Aw.
maybe in that moment, I was like, well, you know, there's no more hiding anything. Like,
Yeah.
he's here for it all.
Yeah.
So that was really reassuring and just like feeling comfortable.
Aw.
Yeah, I think that those conversations, whether it is pooping or whether it is like political standing.
Let's stand for it now. Women poop. The council said it. Cosette's not saying it.
No, but I personally don't, but
yeah,
that's okay.
but like the
Um,
other way.
Yeah, I think that like those conversations are so important to have
Yeah.
before you live with someone, because then it just makes you build
Well,
that comfortability with that other person.
Yes.
But still, when
So,
you live with someone, it could go wrong.
I have a question.
yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people are divided on this. Like, do you believe in the art of mystery, or do you kind of like bear all, show all? Because some people think that you should have mystery, and I agree to an extent, but like they should never see you in this kind of way, or you should always be, you know, mysterious. You shouldn't always be like naked in front of them because it loses the mystery. And so I'm wondering if you girls think to an extent mystery isn't important in a relationship, and if you live together, how do you maintain that mystery, or how do you, I guess, breach it and think that it's okay?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let me think about that.
Okay, while you think, I will speak up.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I've embraced that art of mystery in past relationships, but in hindsight is because I wasn't fully comfortable with that
Okay.
person. And I think when you do get fully comfortable with that person, I would hate to not feel like I can show all of
Yeah.
myself. And I caught myself the other day, like in this memory of when I would sleep over at one of my ex's houses, I would wake up before he woke up just to run to the bathroom and put makeup on and then fall back asleep and then wake up next to
Oh,
him and he'd be
no.
like, oh my God, you look so good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, really? And then same thing, like after he fell asleep is when I would run to the bathroom and take my makeup off because I felt like he could
Wow.
only see me in this certain light. And a lot of that had to do with my skin insecurities that I deal with. But I was like, oh gosh, I hope that whoever I'm end up with, like I can lose that a little bit and like I can feel totally comfortable. So I do think that, I mean, when you live with someone, when you are having a family with them and they are going to see you in every single light. And I just am thinking about how anxiety inducing it would be to try to maintain that mystery sense. I do think
Yeah.
that you can keep the spark alive in ways of like going away for a
Yeah.
weekend or never stop dating each other, like going on little dates.
I think
Maybe
there's
even
way
like
to incorporate mystery
Yeah.
outside the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe even like they like pick you up for a date night even though you guys live together, like they leave and pick you up, like there's little cute ways around that, or turning your living room into a date night as you mentioned
Yeah.
with the
Or
candles.
yeah, dressing up for
Yeah,
just to stay
dressing
at home.
up
And
for the other
Yes.
person. But I don't think that there needs to be that mystery in all aspects of your life. I think that when you become really comfortable with someone, you shouldn't have to think about
yeah,
that.
I agree with that. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think maybe that was another tactic by my ex to be like, we need to be more mysterious to each other. I'm like,
Oh.
He just
okay.
doesn't like
Yeah.
women.
He just doesn't like women.
I think
He likes men.
definitely like 100%. If we're dating, I want to be completely open with you. You're gonna see the best sides of me. You're gonna see the worst sides of me, and everything in between. And it's like I don't want to hide myself because if you're my forever partner, then you're gonna like every side of me.
Yeah, you want to feel like you're in your own home without anyone around. That's the joy of picking someone to live with. You're like, wow, I feel like I can be 100% exposed to you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
This is my safe place.
And in regards to like mystery, I feel like instead of mystery, more like surprises. You know, catch them off guard, do something fun
I know
and
Cosette
exciting.
is great at surprises.
I love surprises.
I know. We
I
all
love
love
surprises.
surprises.
Yeah.
We really do.
I love surprises.
We like to shake things up. We're
Yeah,
like,
you gotta keep it
You'll never,
spicy.
yeah. My mom always jokes. She's like, your father has so many personalities to deal with. Like, he's never going to be bored with me because I'm like, I'm everyone, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe we all have a little bit of that because
Yeah.
you're already like, who are you getting today? It's a mystery.
Never let them
Really?
see your next move come
Yeah.
in.
Who you're
But-
getting depends on how loved I feel.
Uh-oh, I'm scared of Rachel.
No, you haven't heard of that?
No,
That's
That's
a thing.
I
Really?
don't think
Like-
I've heard of that.
Like, people are like, oh, if I'm more anxious, it's because I feel less love that day.
Oh,
Well, that's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that.
I guess I've just never heard it phrased that
I
way.
thought you meant like, have you been a bad boy or a good boy? I'm gonna be wild.
I'm
and
gonna be
crazy
crazy or
or like
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Anyway, I feel like from this conversation we've gotten that there are a lot of pros and cons to living with a partner, and there's ways that it could work, and there's things and conversations that you should have before to set yourself up
what
the
you
most
shouldn't
for
do
success.
is move in with a partner feeling like that's going to fix or change your
Yeah.
relationship for the better.
'Cause it
Yeah.
won't.
That's
If
it's
you're
just-
if you're having issues, yeah, moving in isn't gonna solve
Yes.
them. Or like I hear like, oh, like we're having issues, but like we're gonna have a baby and that'll fix everything. And it's like
Yes.
that
Yeah.
makes
you
a
should
lot more
never
things more
progress a
complicated.
relationship thinking it will
Think-
change it for the better.
Yes.
No, no, no,
Agreed.
no,
Yes.
Agreed.
no.
But if you do live with your partner, write in. Let us know how
I
it
would
works.
love to
and-
hear. I would
How
love to hear some
soon?
funny stories.
Yeah,
about living
and
with
and
each other.
maybe things that you have found you've built into your schedule to make it more successful. So
Oh, I thought you were gonna say spicy.
or
Oh,
spicy.
Yeah, we want to hear that too.
We love games on this show. We're always like, "Well, should we play a board game with our couple? Did you play this one?
Oh, we love
We
games.
love little
we
games,
love
like-
games.
Let's
yeah.
not be friends.
Yeah, or like
Or
truth
strangers.
or dare.
Yeah,
What is it? Truth, flirt, or
we're
dare?
not strangers.
We're not really strangers.
We're not really strangers.
Yeah.
Love
Oh,
that.
truth,
Truth,
flirt, or
flirt,
dare. We have some recommendations we can get into
Yes.
on another episode, but thank you guys so much for listening. This has been can you move in with your partner? This has been moving in with your partner, or whatever I'm going to title this episode. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Signing off, it's your girl Cosette.
Lexi.
And Rachel.
Bye.